Hello and welcome to our countdown show to the FIFA 2023 Women's World Cup decision, an announcement of that decision. Here is our Facebook Live, coming to you live from the FFA headquarters in Sydney. I'm Tara Rushton. It's great to have your company this evening in what is going to be quite a long evening ahead for those of you that are staying up and pushing through or having a sleep and getting back up. Of course, FIFA will make their announcement on who will earn the hosting rights for the next Women's World Cup at 2 a.m. this morning. You don't want me just banging down the barrel to you because I am joined by the superstars on the pitch whose actual images adorned the sails of the iconic Opera House tonight. A host of Matildas in the house: Steph Catley, football fern Rebecca Stott, Alana Kennedy and Lydia Williams. Welcome, ladies. Woo! Otherwise it's awfully quiet. How are you all? I know I've got four of you to address, but how are you feeling? We're about 6 hours or so out from the announcement.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling pretty nervous, but I think that's just because we want it so bad, and now it's so close that it's kind of like, can we just know? But yeah, it's very exciting.
What about for you, Stotty? Is it, I don't know, is it in the context of going out to play an elimination final? Is it like that? Or, I mean, I know you're in a suit, so it's a bit different.
It's a little bit different, but no, it's got a lot of hype around it and there's so much excitement. So yeah, it's pretty special.
And I'm glad that you are as one, so we're so connected that the outfit for the football Ferns is also exactly the same as the Matildas. So what's the story behind that? Is there a story behind that, Stotty?
No. No story at all.
Whose suit are you wearing?
Yeah, someone's.
Some Matilda.
Lance just trying to tip Stotty in there. Whose suit are you wearing? That's really yours, isn't it? But we're going to have a look at some of the vision shortly of the iconic Opera House sails that were lit up and adorned with photos of grassroots footballers, the football Ferns, and of course the Matildas as well. But it was a pretty special moment, Lance. I'm sure you represent your national team so many times, and standing in your home city and seeing you behind yourself, you must think, I could have never imagined this in my wildest dreams it would be at this moment right now.
Yeah, no, I never would have imagined seeing myself do a backflip over. Oh no, that was Sam.
Oh, that was Sam.
But no, I mean, it was amazing. Like you said, obviously it's my home city, and just the hype around what could be. So yeah, we're really excited, and I just kind of like just want it to. I want to know, like Steph said, I just want to know what the outcome is. But yeah, pretty special moment seeing that on the Opera House.
And what about for you, Liz? Not necessarily don't want to call you the veteran, but 4 World Cups.
It's fine, I get called the grandma. Pretty much accurate.
But how is this for you? Because you've ridden this and been along this journey for such a long time, and you're staring down what could potentially be a 5th World Cup, which is record breaking. It's amazing.
It's pretty crazy.
You were playing goalkeeping, making your debut at 10 years old. It's wonderful.
I know. I mean, it's what happens when you're out of the bush. You get special talents.
But it must be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think, yeah, it's amazing to it finally being here, and all the support around it. I think it's incredible.
What about the legacy piece? Because I was lucky enough to watch all of you in France, but over 1 billion viewers, 12 million people watched on average every game, which is a 50% increase on how many people had watched Canada. So you can see incrementally, they're no small increments, I guess, but just the buzz, the hype, the excitement, the interest around women's football in particular, and to think that could even skyrocket yet again, Steph.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the last World Cup was incredible. But I mean, being biased and in Australia, I think, we get amazing crowds to our games, so it'd be a dream come true to play a home World Cup here. I couldn't even imagine being in front of a sold-out stadium, listening to the national anthem in a World Cup. It would just be a dream come true.
And what would that be like for you at home, Stotty? I know they lit up the Auckland Sky Tower as well. I'm sure there's a pretty good feeling amongst your teammates.
Yeah, for sure. We don't get to play at home much, so it would be so special in front of all our friends, family. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
And is it more special because of your ties to both countries?
Yeah, I think for me especially, like growing up in New Zealand but then coming here, I do have a special place for both countries. So, I mean, it'd be cool to play a game here as well, maybe the final.
Australia, New Zealand.
Australia, New Zealand? Okay. Yeah, why not? I like it. Who would you? I was going to ask you this later, but I was thinking about this. If the final takes place when we win, and it takes place in Sydney, who would be your top performer? You know, just similar to what we saw with the Cricket World Cup. Is there anyone that you think, oh, that'd be amazing?
Oh, like someone to bring in. I thought you meant on your team.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, like someone, like a celebrity to bring in.
Right.
Oh.
So I've gone that way already.
Like you mean Katy Perry?
Yeah.
On that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
Or maybe, okay, I'll let you think about that one, and we're going to take a look earlier tonight at 5:30 p.m. The iconic Opera House. It was lit up in support of this As One bid. It was truly a moment in history and absolutely spectacular. Take a look.
We are down here at Circular Quay watching the Opera House light up with pictures of both us and New Zealand in promoting the bid.
So to see the Opera House lit up with our photos and photos of young girls playing football, it just shows how far football in Australia has come already. And then with the idea of hosting a World Cup here, it would just go from strength to strength.
By giving the opportunity for Australia and New Zealand to play, not only in their home countries, but to show the whole world what kind of a tournament we can put on for the rest of the world, it's something that I'm sure we'll do an excellent job with. We'll be very proud and I think perfect hosts, and we really are prepared now for our moment and the opportunity.
Fields, I really hope that we can inspire so many young boys and girls to follow their dreams, to believe in themselves and just put on a really good performance for them.
Very proud of the FFA for putting such a great show on and such a great bid together. I mean, this is just the culmination of all their hard work.
This is such a beautiful country. New Zealand's a beautiful country. We would host an amazing tournament. So yes, please vote for us.
Yeah, what an amazing moment in history, in footballing history already, and we are crossing our fingers about 6 hours or so before the 35 FIFA Council members cast their vote. It is a two-horse race at the moment between the Australia-New Zealand As One bid and Colombia. You probably would have wanted cameras in here whilst we were watching that piece of vision there. There was some good self-critiquing going on between the girls that are sitting here at the moment. Stoddy was a fan of your work, some of your best, some for the highlights reel maybe with a couple of your defensive moves. That'd be great. I know I left you with the question about potentially if anyone could perform, say, as a curtain raiser. Not that you need a curtain raiser because it is all about you. Women's World Cup final, Australia-New Zealand, played here in Sydney. Is there anyone in particular that you think, oh, that'd be pretty cool? Or I've thrown this question on you, so it's, and don't all answer at once.
Yeah,
okay?
why am I struggling? Surely.
Okay, I'll throw one out there.
Okay,
Maybe
good.
Sam Smith.
That'd be pretty good.
That'd be pretty cool.
Okay.
It'd be pretty low key. I guess it depends. Is it like a hype thing?
No, he's got some good songs. He's got.
he
that was really
does.
underwhelming.
Our teammates and Stoddy are massive fans of Sam Smith. We'd love you to come out here, Sam, if you are watching this live. We are big fans. Any other thoughts?
No.
Stoddy, no? Throw it to Steph.
Oh, I haven't got. I don't know. Maybe like Pink or something.
Oh, Pink
that
would be a banger.
It should be like
Lids.
flying
I
everywhere.
let's go Beyonce. Just like,
Yeah.
Go the heavyweight.
yeah.
Bring
Go
it
big.
Bring
Go
it,
home.
bring it big. What was that moment like? I know, referencing back to the Sydney Opera House. What was it like being there and seeing that? I mean, it took my breath away, but I can only imagine as players being a part of it and living and breathing it, it must feel pretty special.
Yeah, definitely. It was. I feel like everyone was sort of talking about it and how it was going to look amazing, but you can't really know what it's going to look like until you see it. And it took my breath away, and everyone was pretty impressed. It's pretty surreal seeing our photos up there and some proud moments of ours, but also seeing some of the junior players up there as well would be a really cool moment for them. I don't know if they knew they were up there, but
Maybe,
I'm sure.
They would now.
Surely.
Yeah, probably. And if they were at home after school watching the news,
Yeah.
that could also be good.
it'd be
Talking
pretty
about the
cool.
legacy that hosting a Women's World Cup would leave, I guess, to all of you, what are some of the things that you think would be left here if we got to host the World Cup, just in sense of the visibility and you know, you're all role models in what you do as well.
Yeah, I mean, I got inspired obviously by watching Kathy run at the Olympics, and so I would love to think that, you know, a Women's World Cup hosted here would inspire the next generation of Matildas and Socceroos and just football in general in this country and New Zealand as well.
Lance?
Yeah, similar to Lid's, just those moments that you remember as a kid that really leave an impression. And so obviously, as a Matilda, we create those moments, and I think it would be, you know, really exciting for young girls in particular to remember that and to aspire to be like that like us, and just obviously, like I said, the moment itself would be amazing.
Is there a moment for you in particular, Stoddy, that stands out when you think about your Women's World Cup experiences, or even if you didn't even play in them but watching on when you were growing up and you thought, wow, that's something that I wanted to be a part of or resonate with you? Or it could have been off camera scoring in Canada. I mean scoring goals.
I actually remember when I was younger, I watched the World Cup and I said to Mum and Dad, I want to play for USA or China one day because they're the best teams. And they're like, you can't do that.
You got it right, girl. Go straight to the top.
So, I mean, I always watched those games and I always aspired to play in it. So, yeah.
And in saying that, though, what was it like as a football fan then coming up against USA or China and the teams that you were like, whoa, this is at the pinnacle, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing, but very hard, of course. Hard games.
USA hard?
Yeah.
No, surely we'd be ready to go. But it is a huge legacy piece, I guess, and it's such an exciting moment in time for women's football. How are you all going to burn the hours ahead of the 2 a.m. announcement? What's the plan here?
I think we're going to try and get a couple of hours sleep.
Okay.
But I usually don't go to sleep, 11:30, 12 most nights. So
you're up.
Yeah, I might get half an hour.
Beck, what are you doing?
I'm going to try, but I doubt I'm going to sleep.
Okay, you'll be trying really hard, closing your eyes. Lance, what are you doing?
No, I'm a night owl. I don't know if I'll probably crash right on 2. Great.
Wake up.
No, I'll probably stay awake.
I'm not a night owl.
Grandma.
I think,
yes. It's all right. We'll knock and run. We'll get you up. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. So good to have Lydia, Alana, Steph and Rebecca with me here tonight. Really crossing our hands and cannot wait. The stars of our game. On the other side, we're going to hear about all the work that's tirelessly gone into putting this bid together. It has been a marathon. It hasn't been a sprint. But before then, 2 of the stars that are currently in this room, COVID-19 hit, quarantine period, and they got TikToking. So take a look.
To be able to play in a World Cup on home soil in 2023 would be an absolute dream. As young girls that are playing for the Matildas now, we all aspire to play in the green and gold.
An event like that here in New Zealand would be unreal, not only for us but for the future of football in New Zealand, for all these kids that don't get a chance to see women's football on this level and on this scale, or anyone in New Zealand.
See where the game has come, both from a technical point of view, for the speed of the game, the public support, the audiences. It would be just magnificent to have that on our doorstep.
To see these girls on the world stage, to see them top 5 internationally and competing the way they do, that's all we ever played for. I love seeing where the game has gone and the progress that has been made.
It would be wonderful to see the 2023 games come here as well.
It gives you an enormous pride to know that there's been a legacy, and that's been built upon and they're still building.
I'm on side for 2023 because I think Australia and New Zealand would do an incredible job of hosting the Women's World Cup.
We have the most incredible stadiums, and I think New Zealand and Australia are both incredible countries, and we will be able to host an amazing tournament.
Our commitment to hosting the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023 is stronger than ever, and we will deliver a tournament of firsts. The first co-confederation hosted FIFA World Cup. The first ever FIFA Women's World Cup to be held in the Asia Pacific region, and the first ever to be held in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, great to hear from Ellie Riley, the football Ferns captain right there. Welcome back to our countdown show to the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup announcement. Around 6 hours or so away. It is getting closer, and I'm joined by three people who have been working tirelessly behind the scenes for over 3 years now, realistically, when you talk about the bid. And they're going to tell us a little bit more about the bid here tonight. I'm joined by General Manager of the bid, Jane Fernandez, COO of the FFA, Mark Felvo, and Head of Game Development, Sarah Walsh, and Head of Women's as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Is that game faces that I can see? Is it nerves, or are we feeling okay?
I think there's a few nerves, a bit of anticipation.
I don't know if anyone's breathing in this room. Fells?
There's definitely nerves, So I think it's natural for such a big decision like this.
Yeah.
There's obviously so much that it would mean to host the Women's World Cup. So, hopefully it evolves into a different kind of emotion in a few hours' time.
And Sarah, what's it like for you? Because obviously you wear two hats in this situation, being part of what happens behind the scenes and having represented the country as a Matilda.
Yeah, it actually feels like game day, to be honest. I think the preparation is done. It's you could say that all the work over the last 3 years, which Jane will talk to, Fowles and the team have done such a good job, particularly to leave a legacy beyond the event itself. So I feel like we've put our best foot forward, and it doesn't mean there aren't nerves at the couple hours before the game. So.
Oh, you're making me feel a bit nervous myself. You need a cup of tea. To you, Jane and Mark, about this. I know we're right at the finish line. We can see it. It's in sight, but it hasn't been a sprint. I know that there's been a lot of media coverage, a lot of talk about it in the last week, especially in the last 24 hours. But this has been a journey, years and years and years in the making. Can you give us an idea of what the undertaking has been like, just to even get something like this off the ground?
Yeah, look, it's been an absolute epic journey, lots of twists and turns. For the majority of the bid, we were actually bidding solo, just Australia. So we actually wrote 2 bid books because then we ended up joining forces with New Zealand, came together as one to strengthen the bid. And that happened after the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup, when the competition was actually expanded to 32 teams. So we thought, this is the time now to join forces with New Zealand and to put forward a really strong bid. It allows us to deliver a tournament of firsts, 2 confederations coming together for the first time to deliver the FIFA Women's World Cup.
What were the challenges in that, Mark, with regards to, you've prepared 2 bid books, which is, I imagine, an extraordinary, huge undertaking, and you go and broach from government level all these conversations, then it's okay, well, we're going in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, I suppose we were helped by having started as early as we did. I think we got started before the process had officially kicked off by FIFA. And then as the process began to evolve and the number of teams in the competition had expanded to 32, we were still at the same time negotiating with New Zealand football and having discussions with governments. And I think we just had to be very flexible to consider a whole range of options. In the end, we were able to come together as one, and as Jane mentioned, I think in the end we've come up with the strongest possible bid, and I think that's reflected in the end in the sort of technical evaluation that we've gotten.
And for those that don't know at home, I guess certain elements of the technical evaluation, but what makes this bid so attractive?
Yeah, well, as we say, this is a tournament of first, 2 confederations together. We represent Asia and the Pacific. And also this will be a tournament that helps FIFA achieve their goals. This is the opportunity for FIFA to achieve their goal of 60 million women and girls playing football by 2026. We provided the most favourable commercial platform also, which again helps for the future investment into the women's game.
And how did COVID-19, how did that affect the plans?
Well, I think in the end we just managed to sort of sneak in, I think, because FIFA were about to commence, or they were commencing their inspection visits just as it was all kicking off, but it hadn't quite reached the proportions that had led to travel restrictions and borders closing down. So that was all able to happen as planned. The final stage of the bidding process, which we're obviously now coming to the pointy end of, was always going to involve a lot of speaking to FIFA council members, and the original plan was obviously to get around physically to different parts of the world, different gatherings. In fact, we should have been in Ethiopia right now.
You're glad that you're here, though.
Very happy to be here with you.
Of course, thank you.
And so I suppose there's been a lot more phone calls and Zoom calls and all the rest of it to present our credentials.
I guess we're all Zoom champions at the end of COVID-19, aren't we? Or better at technology, hopefully, some of us, me not included. Was she talking to you and having both hats on from a player's perspective? And it must be really interesting. What's important to the players?
Well, we've spent a fair bit of time with the players today, and obviously throughout the development of the bid, because they've been massive backers of this. We're actually just down at the Opera House, and they were putting the lights on the Opera House, and just to see the amount of media that turned up to see that, to see the FFA team and the players, it actually talks to how I think society, government, commercial partners really understand the significance of a Women's World Cup. We just had the Cricket World Cup here, and I think this is another level. I've been to the last 2 World Cups, 1 billion viewership. Everyone actually truly understands what this means for the country. I think the players to see that tonight, they know what it means. They've played in front of packed crowds. They were just in France with, in front of 40 to 50,000 French and US players. To think they will be in green and gold, you can't get that anywhere else. So that really just it gives the team that extra drive and support they need. So they're all about winning a World Cup. So whatever does that, whatever helps them do that, and having it here is in front of their family and friends doesn't get better.
In terms of operational elements, and we talk about the 2 different countries, the host cities, travel time, things like that, and this is a bid where there'll be no more than 3 hours in between where the players have to travel, and they can come here and set up base camp as well. How much do those type of elements affect the players, and do you notice them so much when you're travelling and playing at a World Cup, or are you just focused on the game?
Yeah, I think as a player, I could actually just speak to a real-life example we just had through COVID. The team did such a good job to put the qualifiers on here in a really quick turnaround. It's such a significant difference going to China to play, being in a hub with foreign food, and you can change all the elements with your support staff and a chef and everything, but to have it here, comfort of your own home, really just provides you, with that leg up. And I saw that with the French team in France. It's, everything is familiar to you, so it's that extra edge. So we got to see that through the qualifiers. Imagine that on a much bigger scale here, and the hub model, which I think the team have done such a good job. It's perfect.
Do you miss playing in the green in moments like that?
No, I just absolutely love watching this team play. You actually feel a part of it by watching them. I think they display everything, the values that we want to see in our team, and I think that's why they're the most popular team in Australia right now.
So from now until decision time, when the FIFA Council members, 35 of them, start to cast their votes, what's going down?
As soon as I get out of here, I've got to pick up the phone again and keep going.
Okay.
So
it's continuing.
It's not going to stop until the final whistle. Until we don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Okay.
In the event that there are still people that are making decisions, yet to firm up views. We might have our other bidder also, continuing to work the phone. So that's part of this stage of the bidding process. You just have to continue to work as hard as you can till the very end.
Okay, great. So you'll be working the phones. Everyone will still be here working feverishly at the FFA offices in Sydney. You all deserve a couple of stiff drinks, I've got to say, but thank you very much for joining us and giving us some more insight on the bid, Jane, Mark and Sarah. We are off to a short break, but on the other side we're going to hear a little bit more from our community bid champions who have been so fantastic and throwing their support behind the As One bid. We'll see you soon. Well, what about that? 12 host cities, 13 stunning top-of-the-art stadiums, 2 countries, the As One Bid 2023. It's pretty spectacular. Yeah, completely biased in that, of course, but we are on the precipice of what could truly be a historic moment for women's football right here in this country and, of course, for New Zealand as well. A journey that's been long in the making as well. We heard from a host of people that have been working across the bid for years in the making, the past 3 years in particular, but so many people have been so passionate about throwing their support behind this bid. Our community bid champions, who are people from all diverse backgrounds who just love the game, and I caught up with a few of them earlier.
Hey Gabs, how you going?
I'm good. I'm great to be chatting with you.
Hi Ivani, how you going?
I'm good, thanks. Nice to meet you, Tara.
It's so nice to meet you as well. I actually feel like I'm in the presence of footballing royalty because you're a Matilda in the making.
So I started when I was 5 years old. My dad played football, and then ever since then I just love the game.
So can you speak to us a little bit about what a Women's World Cup here in Australia and New Zealand do just for your local community?
Yeah, a Women's World Cup here in our own backyard will be amazing for young girls, but also women to get involved in our game. I was recently voted in by 21 member clubs to be a board member. And this is something that I really hold dearly because I just want to give back to my local community. It's really making sure that there's an inclusive feel, and that's what drew me to the association in the first place, is that I can really make a difference around gender, but just not stopping at gender, making sure that football's available for everyone.
You went to the World Cup last year, did you?
Yeah.
What was that like?
What an experience. It was amazing to see all the best players in the world at the same place. The atmosphere was great, but I know we can do it bigger and better here in Australia and New Zealand. I'm very proud to be a part of the Australian football community. It's not just about me, but I'm representing my generation of footballers. There are some very talented boys and girls out there that will love to see the World Cup here in our backyard.
There's a demand to actually watch the games. There's a demand to go to the games in real life as well. And yes, it's increasing female participation, but it's making sure that we've got the women and men behind our female athletes.
And tell me, say that Australia-New Zealand win, how are you celebrating the bid win?
Oh my God. So my husband and my son are probably still going to be asleep. And I won't be able to hold my excitement because I will be up and I will be watching live. So I will be making as much noise as I can. I'll be running around the house with my scarf.
I will be so thrilled. I'll be yelling and cheering. I wouldn't be able to wait to show off our Australia to the world.
Oh gosh, Ivani, you're getting me excited just talking to you about it. Thank you so much for having a chat to me. Oh Gabs, we're so lucky to have people like you championing the game as well, and thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. Thank you, Tara. It was amazing.
Bye.
Bye.
Super exciting to be in the top running country to host the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023. For me personally, it would be amazing, especially just to have my family come and watch the games. I mean, I've been to a few under 17s and 20s World Cups, and last year my first Women's World Cup. Unfortunately, my family wasn't able to make it, so having it on our home soil, I'm sure they would be ecstatic to come and watch. So for me personally, that'd be amazing. And just for women's football in general in New Zealand, I think it would definitely take the game to new levels.
One of the biggest honours ever to be able to host a World Cup. Playing in front of friends and family will be pretty awesome. Can't really beat that, because whenever it's away, it's always hard for people to, travel. So being here would be amazing.
Super exciting, even to make the World Cup, but to have it here in our home country and for all the supporters and family and friends able to watch in our own backyard, it would be really cool.
It'll be a great opportunity, especially for me, being one of the young ones in the group.
It's massive what it can produce for us in terms of the legacy that it leaves behind, as well as the build up to the 2023 World Cup, and the investment in terms of financially and the infrastructure and the government and everyone getting behind it is massive for the visibility of the sport and the future of women's sport in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's fair to say there's a fair amount of excitement going on across the ditch at the moment, and if you heard from Rebecca Stott earlier, she's called it. The Women's World Cup final in 2023 will be between Australia and New Zealand. So June, July sometime, just mark that loosely in your calendar somewhere. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Of course, we are counting down to the 2023 Women's World Cup announcement. Who will win the bidding rights to host the next World Cup? What a momentous and history-making moment it would be if it was going to be Australia and New Zealand, a two-horse race between our bid and that of Colombia. Football, though, it is the sport that breaks down all barriers. It brings people together from diverse backgrounds and it really starts conversations happening. Take a look.
Australian New Zealand culture is welcoming of anybody who wants to love the game. In our streets and in our football communities, we had people from all over the world.
You don't look at Australia and see one identity. You look at Australia and you see this community of multiculturalism.
New Zealand is a small country but with big hearts. We welcome everyone here.
To bring a World Cup would definitely be very welcoming.
So many different cultures already call Aotearoa home. We'd have a lot of fans from all over the world already here. It's the best place to hold the World Cup.
The warmth that football brings will create this atmosphere that is just going to be phenomenal.
I'll be there every day, every game.
I aspire to be there one day, so it'll just be so good.
A country that will welcome all teams, all visitors, fans from all parts of the world in a unique way, because our very own people have come from all around the world.
We all come from different cultural backgrounds, and I think football is the one thing that unites us and brings us together.
In 2023, we will take the FIFA Women's World Cups to the next level. For the players, for the fans, and for FIFA.
Our world may be enduring a long silence, but in football, our voices can never be tamed.
Australia and New Zealand are rebuilding our communities through football, leading the way on and off the field.
Because football is much more than a sport. To the millions like me who play, coach and watch this beautiful game, it's a game that connects us all.
This, like no other, is the time for the world to come together as one.
We believe that in 2023, an Australia and New Zealand FIFA Women's World Cup will bring us all together again.
Two confederations, two countries, home to hundreds of cultures and languages, but united by the language of football.
We are ready to welcome the world and bring the football family together like never before.
A chance to celebrate as one at the biggest ever FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023.
Let's come together as one.
Yeah, great to hear from some of our As One ambassadors right there. Also passionate about this great game and what a Women's World Cup here down under could do for the game as well. Thanks for sticking around to our Facebook Live. We are counting down towards a decision, which we will know at 2 a.m. in the morning, but it would be remiss of me not to invite in CEO of Football Federation Australia, James Johnson, to chat us through a couple of the moving parts, I guess, from where we sit right now for people at home that may not know about it. I guess I want to ask you, James, how are you first and foremost feeling right now at about, 8:30 p.m. and we're inching closer? Are you busy? Are you calm? Are you treading underwater?
Yeah, I like to think I'm calm, but excited. A little bit nervous. I think this is normal when you have a big event that's coming up. But look, we've done a lot of work for many weeks now. The work has got longer, it's got harder, it's got more complex as we've got closer. So we feel like we've done just about as much as we could do to get the position that we are right now.
You've got that insight of working at FIFA as well. So is that what happens? Is that the pattern of things? I thought, okay, would we have an idea and know now, or is it still the work, as Mark Felvo said, goes all the way up until that final whistle?
Yeah, it'll keep going. I mean, some people probably had decided a couple of months ago who they were voting for. Others would have waited for the report, the evaluation report that came out, and others are probably still undecided up until this moment. I've seen this before when I worked at FIFA. It's a very complex organisation because you're dealing with an organisation that looks after 211 countries around the world. You have language sensitivities sometimes, you have challenges with culture, you have different time zones that people are working in, so it's a very, very complex decision matrix. So to answer your question, no, I don't think everyone would be decided. I think we've got to continue to push the merits of our bid right up until 11 p.m. tonight, which is when the meeting will start.
And so tell me, how will the bidding process work? Because it's changed, obviously, because of the travel restrictions and COVID-19. And how does that change things? So is everyone zooming in to a meeting, and how many people will cast their votes? How does that work?
That's right. So the council is the board of FIFA, and there's 37 members on the FIFA council. There are 35 voters that are eligible. That's because the New Zealand representative, who is part of the AS1 bid, cannot vote, and the Colombian president is also a member of the council, and he cannot vote as well because they're both conflicted. So there's 35 members. The members are from the 6 different confederations across the country. We're from the Asian Football Confederation. Our partners, our colleagues in New Zealand are from the Oceania Football Confederation. Then you've got the CONCACAF region, which is North America. You've got South America, you've got Europe, and you've got Africa, and that's the group. FIFA actually only have one vote, and that's the FIFA president. The other members of the council, so the other 34 that will be voting, they're all elected through the confederations, and not a lot of people understand that nuance, but that is what it is. So anyway, there'll be 35 voters. They've all received the report. It will be the last agenda item of the meeting, which means the vote probably won't take place until about 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning Australian time. And then there'll be a presentation that's already been pre-recorded, so we've worked on that. The council members will see that, and then they will be casting the vote. And then we'll find out who voted for who, which is a really important part of the process because it creates transparency around it. There'll then be a press conference at approximately 2 a.m. and that's when we'll know whether we were successful or not.
So you will eagerly have to sit through every agenda item? Will you be on the call from the start to the finish, right?
No, well, we won't be actually. We won't be. So our Johanna Wood from the New Zealand Football Federation, she is a member of the FIFA Council, so she'll be involved.
Okay.
But we won't be. So we'll be sitting here very nervous, sweating, but also looking forward to the news and bringing this process to an end.
And talk to me a little bit about the bid evaluation report. How much we scored the highest, 4.1 out of 5, a lot higher than Colombia, who we're in the race with at the moment. How much does that play a part?
Well, it should play a strong part, but sometimes it doesn't, and that is unfortunate. But it does add value for sure, and we put a lot of part of our strategy was putting a lot of emphasis on the report. We wanted to score the highest. Because if we didn't score the highest, we would be in a worse position than what we are in right now. Just because we scored the highest on the report doesn't mean that we will win the vote, but it should help us position ourselves in a very positive way going into the vote.
Have there been many challenges that have come from COVID-19 without having that face-to-face building of relationships that may have to be done? Has that proved tricky at all, or have we kind of worked around it?
No, I think it's challenging. It's not it's something that's solvable though, but it is challenging because when you're trying to build rapport with people, when you're trying to build relations with people, particularly when you're wanting them to vote for your bid, having face-to-face is important. There's a lot of nuances, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of expression, and you've got to understand sometimes the messages that are given that aren't actually said in a meeting. And this is particularly the case when you're dealing with the majority of the people who don't speak English as their first language. So this has been a challenge for us, but it's also been a challenge for Colombia now as well. So I think it's puts us on an even playing field.
And having a daughter yourself that plays football, and I'm sure that you're out there in the mornings watching her and driving her to training when you're not in here, of course. What type of legacy and what would hosting the Women's World Cup do for the women's game here in this country?
Actually, she wanted to be here tonight, but her mother wouldn't allow her to come in. Look, it would be a game changer. it is the biggest sporting competition for women in the world. You're going to have more than 1 billion people that are going to watch the competition from all over the world, and they're going to watch the competition being played on our shores. It gives our Matildas, who are one of the best women's national teams in the world, a huge competitive advantage if they're playing a World Cup on home soil. I mean, wouldn't it just be amazing to see Sam Kerr lifting a World Cup here in Sydney or here in Australia? It would be fantastic. So look, the legacy piece is, as I said, it's a game changer. We would expect certainly more commercial revenue. More commercial revenue from the Women's World Cup means more investment into women's football, but it also means more opportunities for women in football, so that they can administer the sport. There's more jobs that are going to be available, and we would expect our participant base to grow as well. It is interesting that of our 2 million participant base, only still about 23% are women and girls. So this is our big opportunity to grow our sport, and I think the Women's World Cup would really leave a great legacy for women's football here in Australia.
And talking about legacy, we're seeing intention already with creating homes of football, both in Sydney and in Melbourne as well. So I guess what are some of your vision pieces around that?
Yeah, so look, we need a lot of support here from the federal and state governments, and they have been so supportive of this bid, and they really want the bid just as much as we do. So I think if we are successful, we'll certainly be playing that in a nice way, and we will be asking the government to try to help us find a home where we can come together as a football community, where children can play football on fields around our offices, where national teams can train and reside during national team camps, and somewhere where we can really have a football house. It's a really part, I think, of creating a football identity for Australian football. And
if there was any closing words or final sentiments to tell the FIFA Council, what would you say?
I'd say do the right thing. Do the right thing. Look at the evidence. Be fair. Be objective. And vote for the bid that you believe will leave the biggest legacy for women's football. That would be my only word.
Here on that one, James Johnson, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to let you go and work the phones or try and relax, whatever you can do in between now and that 1 a.m. time slot. A big thank you to all of you for joining us from home, as well as we count down towards the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup announcement and the decision that will be made. A big thank you to all of our community bid champions, anyone that's gotten behind this bid from everywhere across Australia and New Zealand. We thank you so very much. So much work has gone into this huge effort. One last push is needed, but we will know by 2 a.m. whether we will be hosting a Women's World Cup right here down under. You can head to FIFA.com at 2 a.m. to find out the decision. But until then, it's see you soon, and thanks for joining us. Good night.
I'm on side for 2023 because I think Australia and New Zealand would do an incredible job of hosting the Women's World Cup.
We have the most incredible stadiums, and I think New Zealand and Australia are both incredible countries, and we will be able to host an amazing tournament.
2 confederations, 2 countries, together as one.
To know that the world could be coming here to play football and that the world will be watching down here in the Southern Hemisphere would be amazing.
We are ready to welcome the world and bring the football family together like never before.
A Women's World Cup in 2023 on home soil here would completely change the game for us.
Let's come together in 2023. We are ready to welcome the world. Fingers crossed.
Australians and New Zealanders are passionate about our sport and our football, and it would be an honour to host the largest women's sporting event in the world.
I want to encourage everybody out there to get on side for 2023.
Get on side for 2023.
This, like no other, is the time for the world to come together.
It's a game that connects us all.
A chance to celebrate as one at the biggest ever FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023.
Together, let's make history.
Together as one. Together as one. Sangue.
Juntos. Jose.
Kotahitana.
Together, let's make history.
Let's come together as one in 2023.